You guys just love it when you think you have a plan on what you're gonna do and then the sky opens up and it just starts raining on you. But doesn't mean we can't be out here doing something. I've been joking with the kids about how they haven't been outside like at all the past week. It's so hot, and then of course get a little bit of rain, and guess what?
Look at this morning.
Slow and steady, aware of all that is beautiful. Let the curse fall at my lover's feet. Give me courage in the face of that great unknown, and when the darkness comes, help me to see. Yo, even in traffic when I've had it, Mr. Work we can manage the substance, and I love it. I don't have it unless I grab it. But the fabric of the time that won't cease to tick by, whether I seize it or I leave it. So no reason not to try. Except the fatigue that leaves the streak of red that bleed through my eye. I don't want to spend my whole life as a ghost so overtired. There's more to this existence than some milestones on the list. And when I disappear into the wild, well, I know they won't be missed.
Hey, buddy.
Slow and steady, aware of all that is beautiful. Let the curse fall at my lover's feet. Give me courage in the face of that great unknown, and when the darkness comes, help me to see. Yo, feel like 9 times out of 10, you only get what's left after the world has had its wit and left me angry and depressed. And how I wish that I could give you all the love that you deserve, the tenderness, the kindness that I tried to show at first. I don't often have the energy I did when we were birthed, so you left to sit between my moves to find something to worth, when all I seem to offer is just callousness and hurt. Still, there's not a more crippling thought than knowing you love me at my worst. When I'm being insecure and every symptom of the curse, I will try to remember to remind you that it's still me, little bird. Cause there's beauty where we've been, and yes, there's beauty where we are. And though every day's a hurricane, you can find a refuge in my arms. Move slow and steady, aware of all that is beautiful. Let the curse fall at my lover's feet. Give me courage in the face of that great unknown, and when the darkness comes, help me to see. Move slow and steady, aware of all that is beautiful. Let the curse fall at my lover's feet.
So she has been bugging me for a while to hang up this rope because she really wants a climbing rope out here on this new masterful swing set I've been building the kids. The swing set suite. Look at that. All sorts of good stuff going on there. We got ladders, we got roofs. We now have ropes and slides and screaming children. So I gotta tell you, with some of the problems I had here and having the community garden spot, I was spending more time working on that and caring about that I kind of let a little bit of this get to neglect. Like, oh, hold on, we passed it. My micro garden that I've been doing here, the food forest type garden, the beans and squash kept getting eaten over and over and over again. So I kind of was like just lackluster with my enthusiasm for the project. So you can really see my neglect here has been bad. I let these tomatoes fall over and not give them any kind of support. So now they're kind of just growing all over the ground, all wild and craziness. And I just can't have that. But with my new mindset, being in a better place, and being a little more excited about what we're doing out here, all I can say is you can't stop me now.
Don't stop me, 'cause I'm having a good time, having a good time.
What we're gonna do today, we need some string. This is one of the things that's really good about having a little archway over top of my tomato plants. There's a really simple method we can use to put those tomatoes upright, and that's it. We just need a string. We gotta cut it, and then we're gonna do a little bit of a stringing of the tomatoes. When it comes to stringing up tomatoes, I'm gonna use a little bit of heavier paracord because these tomatoes are kind of loaded up already. If they weren't, I'd probably just go with a normal kind of twine, but I want to be a little extra heavy duty. And first thing we're gonna do is locate a spot straight kind of above our tomato plant. And we're just gonna do a simple knot around the cattle panel. So we don't need the string to go all the way down to the ground, so we're just gonna come down kind of like where the base of this tomato is. We're gonna give ourselves a couple little extra inches because we gotta tie a little knot. And then we make a simple cut. A little more simple if I had a really sharp knife. About time to sharpen this thing, I think. So being in the stage that this tomato is, where it's a kind of a mature plant right now, it's gonna be a little bit trickier when we go to weave it around this thing. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna come down and start weaving it before I tie the bottom off to kind of hopefully draw it up as I'm going from the ground. Because right now it's just kind of tipped over on the ground, and we don't want that because we want our tomatoes to be up off the ground, not getting wet. And we just want that plant upright because it's smothering some of the other stuff that might be growing down there, or stuff that we're gonna plant in the future here. It's a wee bit like tomato surgery when you're trying to weave that down in there before we tie it off. I gotta go grab the other stand real quick.
Oops.
What you doing? So now that we got our string down here at the bottom, we're gonna bring it down a little bit more, try to tense it up some. And then we're gonna tie a little knot in it. First we'll get rid of that branch because we don't need that one. Just tie a little knot. Just something to kind of hold that plant in place. That's all we really need. And then I'm gonna take some of these bottom branches off of here because I want to be able to grow stuff underneath this. And they're just going to be in the way, and also just trying to tame this plant a little bit because it is crazy now. So the big tomato in here was actually a Cherokee Purple, and I kind of got 3 stalks going on. So I got one pushed over to the cattle panel, I got a string in the middle for the main one, and then I kind of got this second string over here for the third kind of main stalk that's coming off of here. So should have got to it earlier and trimmed a little bit. I didn't, so now we have 3 stalks, but that's fine. Who doesn't like 3 stalks on a tomato? I let them go wild sometimes, you know. Sometimes we try to train nature too much, and I think it's better to just let it do what it's gonna do. I really don't get too many tomatoes that grow super nuts like that, but I got a few different things I need to get some strings on. What do you got there? Are you doing a vlog?
Yeah.
Are you talking to your stand? You almost ready for dinner? Oh, you're Batman. Batman. As you can see, this cherry tomato got crazy huge on me. Actually, I've never really seen it go like this before. So it looks like the neglect is the key to gardening, apparently, because this thing is out of control. It's got about 5 or 6 shoots on it that are probably about 3 or 4 feet long. And kind of our main stalk up here, you can see it way up there now. It's actually almost 5 foot, I would say, probably easily 5 foot tall. So it's still got a lot of growing. This is obviously an indeterminate tomato, which means it can grow infinite, so it actually might touch the top of this cattle panel, which I would be shocked by because I've never really had one get that big on me. But yeah, this actually kind of went nuts, and the best part is I didn't do anything to it. I literally had it here, it was falling over, it wasn't being taken care of, and here it is doing pretty good. It's got a lot of little fruits on it, a lot of flowers, so I think we're gonna get quite a few of these tomatoes. And now that we got our strings up, holding it all together, hopefully everything will be growing better. And I gotta do a little bit more pruning on here because it is a little bit nuts, but I can do that when I have more time. But it's almost dinner time, so we gotta go in. So a couple of the things I found underneath our tomato mess was we actually have some okra still growing. That's an eggplant right there. There's a cucumber. Maybe now they're gonna get a little more sun. They can get growing on us. Beans that are actually coming back from being almost eaten. And then the squash is taking off a little bit. Ooh, well, that's already looking a lot better. I'm gonna plant some greens underneath this probably tomorrow. But yeah, stringing up tomatoes is super easy. That's one thing I like about having this cage, this cattle panel trellis over top of my garden bed like this, is that it's really easy to just run some strings up there and you can string up tomatoes. It's a really good method and people use it so often. It's, you know, done with, you know, a single pipe across and people just tie strings down. There's just so many different ways you can string up tomatoes with just string and some sort of overhead beam, and that's it's pretty easy. It's funny because I made a video about the cages, about how much, you know, I actually like cages, which, you know, they seem to do fine on those. But this is another great method, especially if you're one of those people who's going to single stem your tomatoes. Obviously I have not single stemmed my tomatoes and I let them go a little bit nuts. But you know, it is what it is. Like I said, I was a little bit down about the season, but now I have a little bit renewed vigor and wanting to grow. So I want to get out here and take care of a bunch of this stuff and make sure I'm get right back on that good track, so that I can keep moving. I thought I had something in my cage over there, but it's just a little chipmunk. That must be the little bugger who gets in there and takes all the stuff that I bait in there. I wonder what it is. And now I know it's just old Chippy. Just old Chippy. So that's a little update on the micro garden. If you guys have been wondering about it since we planted it out, it's coming back. I would say it's going to come back strong. Beans, we got some squash growing, the spaghetti squash over there, the acorn squash doing okay. We got some eggplants, we got some okra, we got these crazy tomatoes, that ginormous basil bush. The parsley has even kind of survived and come back, and we got a couple pepper plants. This little bed is 4 foot by 4 foot and it's just jamming with stuff right now. And there's actually a couple things we can harvest off of here. That basil, we're gonna harvest that pepper, but we're gonna give it more time. We're gonna wait a little bit longer, and I'm gonna replant some of that lettuce and stuff that the critters were eating. And yeah, we're gonna get this bed rocking out again and try to get it producing how we want. A ton of food in there. So there you guys go, a nice easy way to do your tomatoes. You can just single stem them, use a string, something above them, anything. It doesn't have to be a cattle panel trellis like what I got. Like I said, it could literally just be some kind of board you run across, a couple supports on the end of it, and you just run strings down it. It's a great method. I actually use it a lot when I use those cattle panels like that. So guys, remember to be bold and grow bold, and as always, I'll see you in that very next video.